Sal Paolantonio, the matchup show on ESPN, their national correspondent, set to join me now. The Eagles' schedule, it is out. It is official. And Sal will not have to be in Philly for 2 weeks in a row. That might be a bad thing. He might want to be in Philly 2 weeks in a row. They do not have back-to-back home games on the schedule this year. They are playing on Thursday and Friday and Saturday and Monday. Very few Sundays. Some in there. We'll get Sal Paolantonio's take of the Eagles' 2025 slate. It looks like a Super Bowl champion slate here, Sal. They're all over the place. No back-to-back home games, though. That was one thing that a lot of people have pointed out to me today. How are you, pal?
Oh, I'm doing good, Michael. It's an annual tradition for me to be on your show the day after the schedule release, and I'm honored to be on your show and talk about the 2025 Eagles schedule. It's a tough schedule. We have to be honest about that. It is definitely tough, and they got no love whatsoever from the NFL schedule makers. I think the no back-to-back home games is absurd. You're the Super Bowl champ. I'm going to just say it. You're the Super Bowl champs, Mike, and you look at the Kansas City Chiefs last year, they were back-to-back several times at home as the Super Bowl champs. So that's the love that you give to a Super Bowl champ. You give them the opportunity to string together some home wins, and the Eagles don't have that. You know, I think it's a tough schedule made a lot harder by the NFL schedule makers. They did not get treated like a Super Bowl champ.
Kansas City got 3 straight home games at one point, and then late in the year, they have a couple of games back-to-back there. So Kansas City got treated like a Super Bowl champ, even though they're the runners-up. And we're going to see Philly and Kansas City early. We'll dive into that and the schedule in just a couple of seconds. The only other quirk that I saw in the schedule is the opener. They're playing the Dallas Cowboys. They haven't done that since the Pickle Juice game, and we'll talk a little bit about that game in itself, the game this year, but Sal, I was talking about when I saw the schedule in Dallas being that first game and that Pickle Juice game, it really kicked off the era of Eagles football as we now know it. I mean, almost 25 years to the day they will play that game. September 3rd, 2000, they win that game 41-14, and an era of Eagles football was born.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Mike. There was definitely a watershed moment in the Jeffrey Lurie ownership of the Philadelphia Eagles. But, you know, you really got to go back to 1970, 55 years ago. If you go on my Instagram, Sal Pal ESPN, I lay it out there. The last time the Cowboys visited the Eagles, week 1, was 1970 at Franklin Field. That's how unusual it is for the Eagles to get a home opener against the Dallas Cowboys. So it's very unusual, but I like it. I like it a lot.
A lot of people, Sal, have pointed out that the Cowboys, who have not won a Super Bowl in over 30 years, will get to watch the banner and have to have them suffer in your building, and that will be worth the price of admission alone.
Took the words right out of my mouth. I like that part of it. Can you imagine that Jerry Jones and Dak Prescott and Stephen Jones and all of them are going to be there when the banner goes up? That is, I mean, the Cowboys haven't been in the NFC Championship game since we were using VCRs.
Well, I don't know if they're ready to do it again, but we will start there on a Thursday night. I have to imagine Sal Pal will be in the building for a Cowboys-Eagles game, 8:20 at Lincoln Financial Field with all the live reports, and it will be the first in a line of 17 games starting on Thursday night for all the world to see.
It is a privilege, I'll tell you, Michael, to be covering the Eagles at this point in professional football in the city of Philadelphia and the region. You know, I've been doing it for 33 years. It's a total privilege. I'm humbled to do it, and I'll definitely be there. I got a text from my boss yesterday on May 14th. Book it, Sal Pal. You're at the Eagles on. I got the text. I showed it to my wife. She said, "Does he know what date it is?" I said, "Listen, they're so excited at ESPN for the NFL schedule release. They're getting prepared. So I'm doing the Eagles, and then I'm traveling up from exit 4 on the Jersey Turnpike to exit 16W, and I am doing the Steelers at the Jets 1 o'clock on Sunday. It's beautiful, Michael. I barely have to leave my home area at all. I don't have to go to Brazil. It's so fantastic. I don't have to go on a plane and go to Brazil. So I'm excited about week one. I'm certainly excited about them starting against Dallas. It'll be nice. There won't be any more excuses because Dak Prescott will be available to play in the game. And I think that's partially the reason why they had him come in week one. It's like, they want to get a big Cowboys-Eagles rating. Let's do it early in the season when we know Dak Prescott's not hurt.
Yeah, it'll be the first time you get Hurts game, and man, who even remembers the last time those two teams, quarterbacks, squared off there? But yeah, obviously Dallas starts the season there. So, all right, let's go on the journey here for the people. By the way, we got that breaking news right here on the Sports Bash. Sal Powell will be covering the game for ESPN, and of course, right here on the Sports Bash Live. You got Dallas and Philadelphia Thursday night. That kicks off the season. Let's take the people on the journey. How do we see that game going?
That's a win, Michael. That is a win. It'll be highly emotional. Putting up the banner in front of your division rival, that's a total win. Then you go to Kansas City, and this is the one that really irks me. Again, because while you're still trying to reconfigure your defense, you got to get on a plane. I realize it's 10 days later. You got to get on a plane, and you got to play the Super Bowl all over again. This is a tough game, week 2 in Kansas City. But, you take the NFL schedule in 4-game chunks. That's what Dick Vermeil always told me. So I think the Eagles, last year the Eagles started 2-2 after 4 games. I got them starting 3-1. I think they lose to Kansas City. They beat the Rams, and this time they go down and they beat the Bucks on September 28th. And so they're 3-1. And they will still have the messaging that was held over from the loss last year at Tampa that Nick Sirianni delivered to his team, which is embrace the adversity because this is a schedule full of adversity. The Broncos are a hot team. They'll come into the league. The Eagles will beat them. It'll be 4-1. They'll go up the turnpike, beat the Giants. They'll be 5-1. They'll be 6-1 then when they beat J.J. McCarthy on October 19th in Minnesota. Then they play the Giants. They'll be 7-1 at the bye, Michael. That is my prediction.
Yeah,
7-1 at the bye.
I've got a 2-2 start. Dallas and the Rams wins. They have not won in Tampa in such a long time. Soupy hot down there. Another loss, 2-2. And then I could see them winning those 4 games in a row. Denver, Giants, which is a Thursday night, Minnesota, and the Giants again. So that means I have them at 6-2. You have them at 7-1. Then out of the bye, Sal Powell, they got a gauntlet of games here out of the bye with these NFC North teams.
They do, but, obviously playing in Green Bay on a Monday night will also be an emotional game. And we're going to get the decision on the brotherly shove here within the next week. The NFL owners are meeting in Minneapolis next week to decide the fate of the tush-push and brotherly shove for the 2025 season. And boy, oh boy, wouldn't it be great if the NFL owners table it once again and the Eagles run the tush-push on 60 offensive plays. That would be absolutely fantastic. Go up the Lambeau and turn back the clock, back to the future, run the tush-push 60 straight times and make the entire national television audience go out of their minds, Michael, at Lambeau Field. You could just hear Vince Lombardi out of the grave. What the hell's going on out there?
That, by the way, would be on your network in ESPN ABC Monday Night Football game on Monday, November the 10th. So they go to Green Bay and just push down the field for a win?
I'm obviously being a little facetious, but I'm not sure what's going to happen on Thursday, but I do know this. There's a lot of people at the NovaCare facility that are not happy about the Green Bay Packers being at the forefront of banning this play. And the Eagles coming out of the bye will be up for that game, and I had them beating the Packers in Green Bay on Monday, November 10th.
We agree on that one. This next one here, this would be a big one, December 16th at home. It is a Sunday night game. The Lions, many of them said, hey, if we would have been healthy, it would have been us. They wanted to play the Eagles in the kickoff of the season. They'll get their chance, though, here in week number 11.
Well, the Lions are an interesting story because they lost both of their coordinators. And so by November 16th, if the Lions have got their act together with their two coordinators changing, they'll be a tough out. But they're playing in Philly. The Lions are a different team outdoors. I got the Eagles winning that game, Michael. I got the Eagles winning that game. I do. I realize short week and coming back playing a tough opponent, but it's tough to beat the Eagles at Lincoln Financial Field in a nationally televised game. I have the Eagles winning that game, no question. And going back, if I could, to the first 4 games of the season, which I think are the toughest. They were the toughest last year. And I mentioned Nick Sirianni's messaging coming out of that game in Tampa, which I wrote about at SJ Magazine in that piece that I sent you, Sao Paulo to the Super Bowl. The game that the season from Brazil to New Orleans. And in that piece, I talked about how Nick Sirianni, in a meeting coming out of the game in Tampa, told the team to embrace adversity all the way. And it was great messaging. And he'll have to do that once again. But the other thing that they're going to have to do, knowing that they have so much change on defense and a change in the play caller on offense, Kellen Moore gone to New Orleans and Kevin Patullo calling plays at the NFL level for the first time, they really are going to have to push the fast forward button in training camp. They really are going to have to shorten the learning curve in training camp to get up to speed so they can go 3-1 out of the gate. And I think by the time they hit their stride, which is in November, they will be really, really difficult to beat. Going to Dallas, I realize on November 23rd is always tough. If Prescott's healthy, I'm counting that as a loss. But then I've got them going, beating Chicago, beating the Chargers. They always play well in L.A., always.
Yep.
And the Eagles fans travel to L.A. That's a Monday night game. That'll be a showcase for Eagles Nation on Monday Night Football in Los Angeles at SoFi Stadium. I have them beating Las Vegas, and then I have them beating Washington, and then who knows what's going to go on for the rest of the season. I think this team has the chance to, even with this tough schedule, and no love from the NFL schedule makers, I think this team's got 12 or 13 wins in this schedule. I do.
Yeah, you and I are pretty much in the same there. I got the loss in Dallas as well. Bears, I think, is going to be pesky this year, much better than they've been. That division is going to be wild there. What about that Caleb Williams book stuff that's coming out is pretty wild about the state of that Bears franchise. The Chargers, I agree, not a daunting place to play. Vegas, that team's not ready yet. I think Washington on Saturday, Washington always gets you seemingly, even when they're not a good team. They seem to play well against you. The Buffalo, Washington, I said this before, I don't know that it's ever happened, that you play the teams that were the runner-up for the conference 3 straight weeks. I mean, if those games do matter, that is a daunting possibility. But I think by the end of the year, Buffalo has the division wrapped up. Now, they might have the 1 seed still in play, so that game might come into play. But I think, late in the year, I think you get Washington once, they get you once. The Buffalo game's a wild card. I got about 4 losses, possibly 5.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you, Michael. I am. I think this is a tough schedule, but I think the way Nick Sirianni coached this team last year proved that he is a great head coach, not a good one, great one. Vic Fangio in his second year, a lot of moving parts, a lot of different things that's going to go on with that defense. But in his second year, I think he'll turn them around pretty quickly in training camp. Again, I believe the messaging will be, hey, training camp will be very important this year. 5 or 6 new players on defense. new play caller on offense. Training camp will be very important. Rest the veterans, embrace adversity, shorten the learning curve on everything, and make sure that you're ready to go 3-1 in the first 4 games.
The one question I will ask you about the coordinator, Patullo, he has a pass game coordinator background. Do you think they will have a propensity to lean on the pass more this year and not wanting to give Barkley over 340 touches again this year? Do you anticipate that they may throw the ball more this year?
No, I don't necessarily believe it will be a philosophy. I believe it will be a game-by-game contingency. You're playing in succession 4 teams that can score. Dallas, Kansas City, the Rams, the Bucks. And the Denver Broncos, by the way, were 10th in the league in scoring last year. 10th in the league in points scored. So the Denver Broncos, you're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams that were in the top 10 in points scored. So you will have to definitely throw the football. Then you play the Giants. Minnesota, I don't know what they're doing with that quarterback situation, and the Giants. So you'll have a little bit of a lull. And they realized last year when they had problems offensively, you just give it to Saquon. And you just give it and give it and give it to him until he breaks free and goes for a couple of those back-breaking runs on on the other team's defense. So, they'll have plenty of opportunity to throw the ball early. But I think as the season progresses and they become much more confident defensively, they'll go back to 26.
Well, we're looking forward to that, and obviously the whole season unfolds right here on 97.3 ESPN, your home for Philadelphia Eagles football. Sal Powell, as always, the day after that Eagles game schedule is announced, we break it all down for you. Of these road games, Sal, do you have a favorite spot? Do you like Kansas City, Tampa, Giants, Vikings, Green Bay, Dallas, Chargers? Where are you liking? Where's your favorite road spot?
There's so many good ones on this schedule, Michael. If I had to rank them, just strictly because I'm a hedonist and I like to hang out in Tampa. You know me. I love Tampa. I love it. And now because they're playing baseball during the regular season down there at George Steinbrenner Field, you want to go hang out in Tampa, and everybody in Philly loves to go hang out in Tampa when it's cold, but it's September. Everybody loves to go to Dallas. And that's a great game. But to me, the game where the Eagles fans should take over is Week 10, Monday, November 10th. And the chants should just start from the beginning and don't stop until the end. How do you like your tush push now? Whatever it's going to be, that is it. The comeuppance will be live and on national television, brought to you by ESPN.
Good stuff. I've never been to Lambeau. I rank that as.
You gotta go, Michael. It's great. It's like going to Yankee Stadium. Better. They play football there.
Yeah, I know. I got to get out there. I rank that as my number 1 road trip for this season. SoFi, I'll probably be out there in the Super Bowl years, so I'll wait till that. But I got to go to Lambeau and check that out one time. All right, there you go. 4 losses, 5 losses, depending on what happens late in the year. That's our breakdown of the Eagles' 2025 schedule. Sal Paolantonio, of course, the matchup show, and at the national correspondent ESPN right here on the Sports Bash. All right, we'll talk to you soon, man.
Okay, thanks to Johnny G and the Griner team at Ocean City, New Jersey, at Berger Realty for supporting this fine program, and I'll see you down there on the boardwalk in Ocean City this summer, Michael.
All right, we'll see you soon. Sal Paolantonio, ESPN national correspondent right now on the Sports Bash.